What do you believe is the one most important thing we need to do, beginning today, to address our infrastructure problem?
A call to action is what we keep coming back to. We keep saying, what is that call to action going to be? And it feels more and more like own it, step towards it, to stop waiting for the answers to come. Call on the leadership to help you. Don't look at them as the problem. Step towards it and find that leader, that politician, that mayor, that selectman, that governor, that barber who has a store next to yours, and say, let's get our arms around that.
I think getting back to the Secretary's comment earlier about communicating value of infrastructure, we all rely on it every day. We come to work, we go home, we live our life relying on infrastructure that we've built as a public. And understanding the value of that, and if we didn't have it, what the implications would be is particularly important. Being able to convey that message in a very tangible way is, I think, what will drive change.
We certainly have the technical capabilities to deal with these issues in this country, there's no doubt about that. The question is, do we have the will? And that will means a dedication of resources, and we live in a society where the news cycle is so rapid fire, and there's something new for people to think about and engage on every day. It's a challenge, how do you get people to engage in this issue? And how do you get people to make that connection? Because once you do that, then those decisions that are made by our elected policymakers, those will follow. I mean, when they see that this is something that's important to people, and that it can absolutely generate positive return on investment to grow our economy. I think a lot of ways, businesses and industries, we need to get them to engage in this. I mean, I know, for example, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce has talked a lot about the actual loss of GDP that the country suffers as a result of disinvestment in transportation, and that message has got to get out there. So I think it is largely a public information kind of a campaign thing that we're in right now. Our national association, AASHTO, the American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials, just recently came out with a report that they did called The New Language of Mobility, which is, how do you engage with people? How do you talk to them about this? What's going to get people, again, in a world where people are just inundated with images and issues and things to think about. How do you break through all that clutter? People are researching, what type of initiatives work and what type don't. And certainly the catastrophic failure motivator is out there, and there have been states that have achieved significant additional investments in infrastructure resources as a result of a very public sort of a failure. Number one, naturally, you don't want that to be the motivating factor. But secondly, my observation from the ones of those that I've seen is they tend to be fairly short-lived, because people made a decision based upon something that happened that was a tragedy, and the world being what it is, there'll be a different tragedy next week and a different one the week after that, wherever in the world it will be. So those types of commitments happen, but to my way of thinking, they aren't necessarily lasting. The lasting ones are, again, where you can show people, frankly, not to be crude about it, but what's in this for me, and in the broader sense of how is this going to, enhance my quality of life, grow our economy in the state, help me or my spouse or my kid get a job or a better job, or attract industry to our state. Those are the types of things that are lasting. Granted, it's much more challenging to get people to make that kind of a connection, because it requires a certain amount of causality and thought, whereas it's easy to point to something and say, well, the bridge fell down, therefore you need to pay more money for bridges. So I think the positive message is much harder to deliver, it's much harder to articulate, but it tends to be more long-lasting.